Hi, I'm Jenny. I'm an early intervention specialist. I provide in-home educational services to infants and toddlers with special needs. I have been in this field for many years. My background is bachelor's in child and family development, and I have my master's in education. So there's 6 areas of development that we focus on when working with young children. They are cognitive, language, gross motor, fine motor, social, emotional, and then self-help adaptive skills. Cognitive skills is how a child thinks, attends, and focuses. Language we break up in 2 parts. The first one is receptive, so that is what your kid hears and understands. Expressive is how your kid communicates. Are they talking? Are they using gestures? Are they using sign language? How are they communicating with others? Social emotional development is how a child manages their emotions and how they interact with others. Are they an outgoing child? Can they separate easily from their parents? Maybe they're a little bit shy, they might be a little bit slow to warm up, and they might need a little bit extra time to get comfortable with their environment and others. Fine motor is how children use their hands and fingers. Are they able to reach out in front of them, grab a toy, bring them back to them? How do they play and manipulate with toys, and how is their hand-eye coordination? The last area is self-help adaptive skills, and that is how a child meets their personal needs. Are they able to feed themselves? Can they use a spoon and a fork? Can they drink from an open cup? Can they dress themselves? Can they wash and dry their hands? Can they brush their teeth? Are they able to use the bathroom? So some of the things that we look at each area, for birth to 18 months, we're really looking at grasping, releasing objects, isolating that index finger to point and poke, eating independently, crawling, sitting, walking, using single words. Maybe they're signing more, all done, they're saying mama, dada, waving hi and bye, finger feeding. At 18 to 24 months, we are working on matching and sorting objects, stacking blocks, body parts. By this time, kids should have 15 to 20 words. They might start combining 2 words together, so maybe they're saying more milk or signing more milk. They are now running, climbing onto furniture, jumping in place, using a spoon, drinking from a straw, and putting on their shoes and taking them off. For the older kids, for 24 to 36 months, we are working on matching colors and shapes, throwing a ball overhand, catching a large ball, walking up and down stairs, combining 2-word sentences. Some kids might even start combining 3 to 4-word sentences. At this age, kids are starting to answer WH questions. So, where's mommy? What is this? They can also make vertical, horizontal, and circular strokes when drawing. They're now using a fork independently, washing and drying their hands, and they should be able to dress and undress with some help. So my favorite toys for kids age 0 to 18 months is container play. This is a great activity to work on sitting, working on balance, working on fine motor, to reach and grab. It could be a toy that has a container with rings, or maybe a shape sorter, and you take off the lid. The kids can sit and grab and release. It makes fun sound. Or it can be as simple as finding any container you have in the house. Plastic container from the dollar store, or a food container that you have at the house. Just fill it up with anything. This will keep them very entertained for a long period of time, and depending on what you put in there, it makes a lot of different sounds, and the kids really enjoy it. For the 18 to 2-year-old kids, I really love blocks. Blocks are great because, once again, it works on fine motor skills, grabbing, grasping, and releasing. It's really fun to stack them. The kids love putting them up on top. You can kind of start with basic counting, and then what they really love is knocking the blocks down. That activity can go on and on for several minutes. It will work on not only waiting to push it down, but you can work on words such as ready, set, go, boom, uh-oh. So much fun. The kids really love it. And then for my bigger kids, the 2 to 3-year-olds, I love music time. I brought some really fun instruments today. This one's really fun, a drum. We got bells and a shaker, so you can put music on in the background or sing some toddler songs that you know. You can work on fast and slow. You can get your body moving and stomp and march while you're playing the instrument. Kids love this activity too. It will definitely last more than 10 minutes. If they're revved up, you can put on some slow music and just let them calmly play to the music, or you can play fast music and get them going if they're feeling kind of bored. So unfortunately, the biggest impact while working on Zoom was lack of services. A lot of families, they just weren't interested in virtual services, and they decided to put their services on hold until we were back in person. I had a lot of families that maybe didn't have access to a computer or a laptop. Maybe their internet connection was really, really poor, or they had other kids in the house also doing online learning, and to add me to that mix just caused a lot more stress and made them way overwhelmed. Another impact, as I mentioned earlier, was internet connections. There were a lot of times when we were in the middle of a session and then all of a sudden Zoom went away. We got kicked off. That caused a huge disturbance. Mom had to go log off, I had to go log off. We had to figure out when we're back online again and try to figure out where we left off. That was really, really hard. And also sometimes the sound quality was really, really poor, whether it was on my end with my kids doing virtual learning and there's screaming and noise in the background, or on their end. Sometimes it was hard to understand what was going on the screen on both ends. And then the third thing that was a huge impact was just when services started, trying to set up with families where these devices were going to be placed. Ideally, we wanted them out, away from a child, up high so it's not distracting them, but the device also had to be within close range so I can see and mom can see what's going on. So that was always interesting, trying to figure out, are we going to put it on this shelf here? Are you able to see? And then once the kids started moving, they tend to get out of frame. So that was always hard too, because then mom, once again, or dad, would get distracted, had to move the camera or the laptop so that we can see what was going on. Overall, virtual services worked out. We all did the best we can. We're still offering virtual services for families that prefer that. And of course, if I'm sick or a family's sick, we always still have that option to do our services over Zoom if we can't meet in person that week. I really love toys. My favorite activities to recommend for families, for the little ones, and actually any age can use this. We all love bubbles. I think if we're at the beach or at a park and we see bubbles, everyone kind of turns and attends to who's blowing the bubbles. These are really fun. They're going to keep your kid entertained for many, many minutes. They work on fine motor. You can work on grasping, popping. You can work on the sound pop. You can have the bigger kids kind of follow them around and stomp on them. Awesome, awesome activity. This is a great one to put in your car, leave in your park bag, so that you always have something if kids are getting a little bored and feeling antsy. Another activity I really recommend for families is doing an obstacle course. If you're stuck at home because it's a very, very hot day or it's raining, go ahead and find things around the house. If you have a tunnel, this is a great activity to buy. You can set that out. You can take some pillows, if you're fine with that, off your couch or off your bed, set them on the floor. The kids can crawl over them. If you have a step stool, you can place a step stool and work on walking up, walking down. For the older kids, they can stand up and jump off that step stool. You can get creative and make a little spot, and then the kids have to walk to that spot, and on that spot they might stand on it. They might go and touch their toes. Maybe they can jump in place. Another fun activity for an obstacle course is getting a basket or a laundry basket and maybe a couple balls, and the kids have to go and drop it or throw it into the basket. Always super fun. Add music to the obstacle course. It will make the activity last a little bit longer. The third activity I always suggest for families if they're looking for something to do is sensory play. Sensory play is great for when kids are stuck in the house again, bored, or really revved up. It really helps calm the system and it will keep them entertained for several minutes. My favorite sensory toy is Play-Doh. Love Play-Doh. Kids can smush it, they can cut it, they can make balls. It works on all kinds of things. You can work on communication, fine motor, super, super, super fun. Another thing I really, really like is painting. You can do this outside. You can get if you have a table, you can take painter's tape, tape a piece of paper to that table, or if you have an art easel, you can also use that. You can do it inside too. I know a lot of families think this is messy, but just let them have fun. They can use a paintbrush or they can go ahead and use their fingers. And then the other sensory toy I really, really like is sensory bins. A lot of stores like Geppetto's are selling these bins now. This one comes with rocks and sand and cars and a scoop. Many hours of play with this. You can also make one at home. You can just get a container from your local dollar store or your grocery store. You can put dried pasta, rice, get some measuring scoops, get a couple toys to hide. You can even do water and maybe do a little like a bathtub with a baby. Super, super fun. Will keep your kids off the devices and entertained for a long period. So when it comes to screen time, I think the best thing to remember is it's all about balance. Less time on a device is the best, but we know that doesn't always happen. I think it's okay to allow kids to be on devices for a small period of time. And when they're done, it's important to put that device far away out of their sight so they're not seeing it and it's not in their reach. And then go outside and do something active. You can bust out your obstacle course and let them move around. Go to your local park or walk around your neighborhood or just play in the backyard. Lastly, if you ever have any concerns about your child's development, please go speak to your pediatrician at your next appointment or make an appointment with them as soon as you can. Your doctor is going to provide you with the right resources on how to get an evaluation and start this process of early intervention.